Hey, it's Mario here, and in this video you're gonna learn how to stick to your diet. I'm gonna give you 3 tips that are backed up by research, backed up by my own experience by going through a very low body fat percentage or transforming over 100 different clients on their fitness journey, on their journey to becoming the best version of themselves. We know that the best diet is the one you can stick to. I mean, people have lost weight with a variety of different diets, not just in today's world, but also in decades and decades ago. And really the fundamental is being in a caloric deficit. We know that negative energy balance, really taking in less calories than your body spends, so it's forced to burn fat. Setting up your protein intake can be beneficial for both satiety and also retaining and building new muscle mass. But how do you stick to a diet like that? How do you stick to that caloric deficit? I mean, that's the key. How do you change your behavior? How do you automate the process? That's one of the biggest mysteries that we have in today's world, is that how do we not use our willpower? Willpower can only get you so far. I mean, initially you of course have to expand some willpower, but it's gonna stop working. Eventually you're gonna run out of it and you're gonna blow your diet. You're not gonna be able to stick to it. It's not very, very sustainable. So in this video, I wanna give you 3 tips, starting off with the tip number 1, that is planning. Everything should be planned in the beginning, and I cannot emphasize this enough. When I first started out, I'll tell you a little bit about my experience. When I first started out, I was overwhelmed. I was researching a lot of different things. I was reading so many diet books. I was reading so many forums, articles. I wanted to find a perfect plan. And I was always thinking, well, on this week I'm gonna eat a little bit more healthy. This week I'm gonna do this week I'm gonna do that. And it was always vague, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I was saying, okay, I'm gonna eat a little bit more healthy, but there's no specifics, there's no actionables there. And once I switched my mindset to, okay, let's start planning things. Okay, when am I gonna go shop for groceries? I'm gonna go buy only healthy food. I'm not gonna go shop when I'm hungry to not buy any junk food. I'm gonna set up, okay, Wednesday 5 p.m. That's the time when I'm gonna go do my grocery shopping. These are the calories that I have for the day. These are the foods that I can incorporate in those calories. And I would write all of that down. I actually had a calendar printed out. I downloaded the calendar PDF. I printed it out, and I would set up every single day the exact amount of calories that I'm gonna eat, and everything there written down, which types of foods and what can I put into that day, into that budget that I have for that day. And I'm not saying that the planning is the end-all be-all solution for everything. Of course not. You have to have some flexibility, but in the beginning, before the diet becomes a habit, before the diet becomes an autopilot behavior that you can simply sustain with little effort, planning is gold. It's golden. It's amazing because you know exactly what you need to do every single day. And it just takes a little bit more effort up front. I mean, Brian Tracy said 10 minutes of planning saves about an hour of execution. It's 100% on point. I would say not even an hour, it's like hours and hours of execution. It's insane how much of it helps, because when you start the day, you have exactly which types of foods that you're gonna eat, how much, and you know that it's gonna stick and you're gonna be on your diet. While let's say someone who just wakes up, oh, what am I gonna have today? And usually the day goes by and we have to make a lot of decisions, we have to do our work, we have to do other things in our lives, and we can't really think on the go exactly the amounts of foods and everything we need to eat. And in the beginning, that's a little bit of a problem because you're battling years and years and years of habits and autopilot behaviors that weren't leading to the type of body that you want, to the type of health and physique that you want. So now you have to change that, and if you try to make all those decisions on the fly, it's gonna fatigue you, it's gonna make you very miserable, and it's not gonna be possible. I mean, think about it. If you don't plan your week, the week goes by like this. I mean, it's very, very fast, and the only thing you can do is actually pre-plan all those decisions, and that's going to eliminate the fatigue that comes from making those decisions, because if you have just a program, you simply need to execute the program. Much easier. Tips on planning: write it down. Don't be thinking, so you just, everything that is in your head, write it down. This is a huge thing. I mean, backed up by research, a lot of research that has been on this. This is called intentions, adding intentions to motivation. I mean, a great research study on this when they ask people, okay, do this much exercise, and then they also, that the group 1, group 2 was like motivated by different types of speeches and all these things. Group 3 was told just to write down exactly when they're gonna go to the gym and when they're gonna do that, and also given the motivation and all of that stuff. The group 3 actually stick to their exercise plan about 91%, right? So it's crazy amount. Then the group 1 and 2 just stick to their exercise plan only 30% of the time. So the difference between actually stating exactly when you're gonna go, where you're gonna go, and how many things you're gonna buy, what's your shopping list, what's your grocery list, is huge. And I could not emphasize this enough. I'm a big proponent of flexible dieting. I really believe in flexible dieting and all, if it fits your macros and all that thing, you can be more flexible and you can add just calories and macros. If you do that, 80% whole, healthy, unprocessed food, 20% of foods that are kind of not planned, and they're being very flexible. But in the beginning, as I said, planning is key. Designing your own meal plan based on the calories and the macros that you calculated for yourself is absolutely critical. So going into the tip number 2, and that is setting up the diet and setting up your mindset. So linking the diet to your sense of self, to your identity. So do you know a vegetarian? Do you know a vegan? And if you give them a piece of meat, if you just serve a piece of meat to them, what type of reaction are you gonna get? Are they gonna be, oh, I'm not sure I'm gonna eat this, I don't know if I can eat this, can I? No, it's gonna be a straight up no. It's the difference between I don't eat meat versus I can't eat meat, or I'm not sure if I can eat meat, right? So the first statement is that I don't eat meat. It's their sense of self. Right? So they put their sense of self on the line. They're not the type of person that does that. Of course, I'm not saying that veganism or vegetarianism is the end-all be-all or one-size-fits-all solution for every single problem. But the thing is that we can learn from them how the sense of self can have a huge influence on your ability to stick to a diet. And if you simply take a little bit of time to think, what kind of person are you? What kind of person do you want to be? Are you the kind of person that basically indulges in every single little craving that you have? Or are you the kind of person that treats your body like a temple? Or are you the kind of person that doesn't have a problem with diet or anything like that? You can just simply stick to that. Think about that for a second. I think really a lot of these things, we can give you the best tools, we can give you the best videos, we can give you everything, the best apps and MyFitnessPal and all of that. But if your mindset is not stronger, if you're not mentally tougher, if you don't have that strong identity, none of these things will create a lasting change. So what I invite you here is to really ask yourself, what type of person do you want to be? Do you want to be the type of person that just goes out and binge drinks? Do you want to be the type of person that just eats junk food every day? Or are you going to be the person that says, well, I don't eat junk food, I don't drink alcohol, I don't do this, I don't do that? At least temporary. I'm not saying that any of these things has to go to an extreme. I know people love to think in extremes and they're like, oh, Mario is saying here that we should never drink or never do anything. Look, moderation is absolutely key. The dose makes the poison. So I know when I was dealing with alcohol, I would say to myself, well, I don't drink alcohol. And then when I made that mental shift, it became a part of who I am, and I haven't had a sip of alcohol in the last 5 years. And I used to be a big drinker before, right? So it just became the type of person, right? You just become that type of person, and the more you reinforce that identity, the more you reinforce that sense of self, the easier it becomes to stick to a diet, to stick to an exercise plan. You just become the type of person that doesn't miss workouts. You become the type of person that hits his protein goals. You become the type of person that eats mainly whole, healthy, unprocessed food, and that is where you want to be, and that's who you want to become. The third final tip that I have for you guys to stick to your diet is a huge one. It's as close to the magic bullet as you're gonna get. That is making life easier for yourself by changing your environment. A huge help on this for me was Brian Wansink and his book Slim by Design, and his work in general, mindless eating. He is a professor at Cornell University. Awesome guy, a lot of research studies on how you can design your environment to make yourself feel fuller and automatically allow yourself to stick to a diet. So let's start with some basic. What does changing your environment really mean? Well, if I walk to your house right now, if I walk in, if I check your kitchen right now, if I check your fridge, how is the percentage of foods there comparing, let's say, whole, healthy, unprocessed food versus processed junk? If I open up your kitchen shelves, is there mainly whole, healthy, unprocessed foods, or is there loads and loads of junk food full in your fridge, in your shelves, like crackers, candy all over the place, on tables and all of that? What kind of environment is that? Is that an environment that promotes healthy eating behavior, or is that an environment that promotes obesity and overeating? If I open up your fridge, can I find 5-6 servings of protein readily available to me right now? Things like cottage cheese, like I don't know, some kind of canned fish, maybe some salmon there, maybe some pre-cooked meat, maybe some tofu, maybe whatever types of beans or whatever you have there. What can I find in your fridge? And think about that for a second. Designing your environment is actually the quote-unquote hack to make the diet autopilot. It's very, very easy, because what you want to do is you want to remove friction from eating healthy food. So there's a lot of friction to eat healthy food because, oh, should I have to cook, or should I have to do this, or I don't have the food here. And eating some junk food, if it's readily available there, and just in 2 seconds you can open up the package of chips and start eating, there's no friction there. So you want to make sure that you create friction between you eating junk food and remove the friction between you eating healthy food. So vegetables are readily available in the fridge. You can just take out, wash them, eat raw instantly. You have some servings of protein readily available, cottage cheese instantly. You just grab it, eat it, done. Right? So it is there, it's available, and there's no junk food in the in the house at all if you're struggling with that, right? So you just remove it from the house. And what do you think is going to happen? Let's say if you have a craving in the middle of the night, or just let's say 2 hours before you go to bed, you have a craving. Well, you can easily eat some piece of vegetable and a little bit of cheese, rather than you're not going to go and jump to your car or just take a 20-minute walk to the shop in the middle of the night to buy some kind of junk food. I mean, that's a very, very extreme case. But if you added so much friction toward you getting that junk food that it's just not worth the trouble, because your brain wants to conserve energy. You know, it wants to save up energy. So it's thinking, well, might as well go for the vegetables, even though it's not that tasty. It's still gonna make me feel less hungry. You know, it's still gonna be the better choice in that scenario, because just getting that to that junk food will take more energy. So that's what you want to do. You want to design the default situation, the default choice, to be the healthy choice. This is a huge thing, and this is why, let's say, meal preps work really well, because if you open up your fridge, just grab a meal instantly, problem solved. Again, coming back to planning, meal prep is a form of planning. Things like designing your environment in other tips and tricks that Brian Wansink has, like add foil to things like, let's say you have a cake. You don't want it to be in a transparent package. You want to foil it up so you can't really see it and the vegetables are clearly visible. You want to use contrast plates, so the plates actually have contrast to the types of food that you're eating. So if you're eating, let's say, chicken breast and white rice on a white plate, you know, it doesn't feel like you're eating a lot, and you want to make that plate a different color, and so it has contrast with the food, so it feels like you're eating a little bit more. Also using smaller plates, smaller things where you're just eating food, so it feels like you're eating more food. And there's a lot of different tricks in the book Slim by Design, which I highly recommend you to check out if you're looking to design your environment a little bit better. Things like just buying a water bottle and putting it next to your laptop. This is insane. Like I see people missing on this. $5 for a water bottle. You can just put it next to your laptop, refill it, you just sip on water. This is going to make you feel a lot less hungry, because, I mean, most of the time when we're hungry, we're actually dehydrated. We're not even hungry. So huge difference having some healthy things to snack on. I mean, it's insane. Even though it is all about the caloric deficit at the end of the day, but still, it's about making it easier for yourself. And that's where designing the environment really comes to play, is because to stick to that diet, you want to make it as easy as possible, and changing your environment is the step to do, because once you change it once, you don't have to spend any more willpower. It's done. You know, once you change, problem solved, you know. And that is something I would invite you to do with your own house. Just take a day or two, analyze all the environment around you, see what can you do to both change your diet, but also add a little bit more exercise. Want to try a standing desk? Want to just go buy on Amazon $15 or $20? Just get some extensions that you put on your current desk, and you can do it. You can work standing a little bit, or just browse and watch a movie standing, and things like that. I mean, there's so many things that you can do with your environment to make yourself stick to the diet a lot easier and make your life a lot easier in the process that you can do right now. As I said, I'm going to link all those resources in the description below as well. Things that I've talked about in the past, about the identity, about all these books and all these research studies. So check out that. So these would be my 3 tips that will allow you to stick to your diet. Let me know in the comments below which one of these 3 resonates the most with you. Which one of these 3 do you feel like is missing in your life right now? So let me know in the comments below. Aside from that, make sure to hit that subscribe button below to support the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.